Good evening, everyone. It is Rebecca with Red True Crime. So we're gonna have do some case updates and talk about some other things that have been going on. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Subscribe, like, comment, share, all that good stuff. And if you've been here before, welcome back. And you've not subscribed, how dare you? Just kidding. But and subscribe because it doesn't cost anything and it gets the information out there for people who may have information for the police to help solve some of these unsolved cases. Just throwing that out there. Okay. So we're going to talk about the one that I talked about earlier, and that is going to be one Cecil Brockman. This guy right here. What is special about Cecil Antonio Brockman? Well, he's a good-looking guy. He's been charged with some really bad crimes against kids. Indecent liberties with a child, statutory rape, all that fun stuff. So, what is significant about him? He is a state representative for Guilford County. Yeah, yeah, state rep. And he has been a state rep for North Carolina since 2014. Now, what I did find out today, he was arrested yesterday, and right now he is in a hospital. I'm assuming he's at either Cone in Greensboro or he is in High Point Regional, which is the actual hospital in High Point. Well, point is, he is probably under lock and key right now. He had a medical emergency yesterday after he was arrested, so he was supposed to go to court today to deal with bond, but that has been continued until tomorrow. So tomorrow, he will have that court hearing. But interestingly enough, I don't think he's gonna get his bond because this is this. So this basically says that, what he's been charged with, and if you see all the little check marks, let me make this bigger so I can see it. It says right here, your release is not authorized. And usually up here at the top, it'll say the bond amount. And then it says defendant is required to provide all that, check fingerprints, DNA, yada, yada, yada. And if you see here in red at the bottom, hold per pretrial integrity act, bond is only to be set by district court judge. And then in red, it says see bond justification attached to release order. And I'm like, I've looked at a ton of these and I've never seen that note before. Not to say that it never happens. I personally have never seen that note before. So I scrolled down and then I saw this. This is the written determination. So let's make this really big. And this made more sense as to why he's not getting bond. So the reasons for requiring a secure bond are as follows. Well, actually, this is the very top. Defendant is on pretrial. Let's see. Defendant's release is not authorized per NCGS 15A-533D, E, or F. Okay. And then all three of these little boxes here at the top are checked. Necessary to reasonably assure the appearance of the defendant. Defendant poses a danger of injury to another person or persons. Defendant is likely to destroy evidence, suborn perjury, or intimidate a witness or witnesses. And then it says the nature is 2 counts of sex offense, 2 counts indecent liberties with a child. And then it says the weight of the evidence against the defendant, electronic evidence present. So they have digital evidence. That's pretty clear cut, clear cut right there. And then it says defendant's employment status and history and financial resources, defendant's character, family ties, and length of residency in the community. And then we go here. Defendant's history of flight or failure to appear. Defendant is a state representative and has access to abundant resources to aid in his flight from prosecution. Yeah. And the one below that is the one that got me the biggest. Defendant has made attempts to contact the victim in this case and has gone as far as attempting to locate the juvenile in the hospital and attempting to use his status to gain information on the whereabouts of the victim. Are you kidding me? Yeah, that's insane. So he was trying to find the kid that he has been sexually abusing all this time in the hospital. For what purpose? Was he trying to intimidate this person? Was he I don't know what he was doing, but he used his position as a state representative to get information and to get to where the kid was. So, what the absolute hell? I'm glad they're keeping him, locked up, but no, that's no way. And then there's been a post, let me pull that up out of my email here, from basically, I'm not sure, let's see, who is it? They're asking for his resignation. I wanna be clear who it is asking for because I don't want to talk out of turn. So, let's see. Yep, here we go. So it talks about the indecent liberties of a child, and there was a letter. Where is the letter? Oh, here it is. Office of House Democratic Leader Robert Rivas issued the following statement. Well, actually, the North Carolina Democratic Party issued the following statement. The North Carolina Democratic Party calls on Representative Brockman to immediately resign. The profound seriousness of this criminal charges makes it impossible for him to effectively represent his community. The office of House Democratic Leader Robert Rivas issued the following statement. The allegations against Rep. Brockman are serious and, if true, would disqualify him from public office. House Democratic Leader Robert Rivas said, this is a developing situation and it is important to let the legal process unfold. So, it remains unclear at this time what the charges will mean for his position as a state representative. A political science professor at Elon University said if Brockman resigns, the local Democrats will pick a replacement, and North Carolina Governor Josh Stein will have 1 week to appoint the replacement. All right, so yeah, but that's whatever. So not only are they keeping him locked up because they fear he's going to intimidate or somehow something with the victim, but he's about to lose his position as a state representative. The Democrats are asking for him to resign. And furthermore, this guy is really bad with money because I was going through his court history. He keeps getting evicted from places. In fact, he just got evicted from an apartment in High Point and as of April of this year. Why do we have him in government working for us? I don't know. So that is the update on Cecil Brockman right now. He's due back in court tomorrow. I guess they're going to revisit the idea of bail for him, which I hope to God they keep that denied. Because I truly believe that children, offenders of children, when it comes to sexual or severe abuse, they don't need to be out on bond. I really don't think they should, but that's just my opinion. You know. So let's get to our next update. Mr. Larry Burton. So it's been 3 months, a little more than 3 months, and he still has not been found. Now you have an independent investigator out there right now, checking storm drains, looking around, trying to find him. And at this point, I do believe they're doing more of a recovery versus a search. I think the family and everybody else that's involved in the investigation is now of the opinion that he is no longer alive and that they are just looking for his body. Another thing I did not know, Mr. Burton is married, still married. And his wife, I mean, he lived apart from his wife because she also has dementia. Yeah. So it's a very, very sad situation. Now, I did do a little digging because right now, as it stands, Hazel May Foreman, who is the director owner of the care facility, is being prosecuted for operating a facility without a license. Now, her big punishment's gonna be a $50 fine, you know. But Larry Burton's family have lost him. So where's the justice for him? And I was looking into it, and for them to do a wrongful death suit against him, one, he has to be declared dead. And then, generally, the state generally, it's 7 years you gotta wait. However, in North Carolina, they just passed a law in July that the person is missing, they've been missing at least 90 days, and a natural disaster has happened, you can go ahead and have them declared dead. Like, Hurricane Helene, you still have people missing from that they've never found. So you're under the assumption that they are probably dead. The other side note to that is if they are facing peril, Like, you can't prove they're dead, but you know for a fact that when they went missing or whatever, they were facing a danger situation, peril, like life or death situation. That would be another reason why you could go ahead and have somebody declared dead. But as it stands now, the Burton family, all they can really do is sue for negligence because he was at Moses Cone Hospital being treated for a bladder infection, and they had put a catheter in him, and they made it clear he could not live on his own, which is why he ended up in the facility he was at. And he also suffers from dementia too. So you have it right there. So he was there, but his family did not put him there. A social worker that worked inside Moses Cone, that's part of their, hospital social work system, she placed him there, or he placed him there. I'm assuming it's a woman, but I could be wrong on that. So my question is, how did this nursing home facility that's not licensed, how did they end up on a list like that? Because they hadn't been licensed in 3 years. See if that can make that make sense to me because I can't figure that out at all, at all. So right now the family, they're stuck in this waiting pattern. I mean, they can sue. They can sue, but if they have him declared deceased now, let's keep in mind when he went missing on July 2nd, we had 2 major things going on. We had a massive, heat wave, just bad, followed by massive storms and flooding, like severe flooding. So either one of those situations, I would think would qualify to have him declared, but they may not wanna do they may wanna hold out hope thinking that he's still alive out there, I don't know, but I'm under the impression with the investigators and with people coming in looking, they're doing more recovery than they are looking for an alive person. So, there you have it. Alright, so let's get to thing number 3. So you may have heard of the case of, let's see, Oninda Romulus. She is a woman that participated in an episode of Paternity Court about 12 years ago. On that show, she had taken 2 men onto the show and said, "Which one is the father of my son?" And at the time, her son was about 18 months old, and his name is Ocario Covington. So it turned out in the episode that neither guy that she brought up in there was the father of her son. Now, why she has made the news, oh, when did she do this? On October 4th, so almost a week ago. She was at a Houston gas station and she decided to shoot her 4 children, including the child that she was on paternity court for, Ocario Covington, who is now 13 years old. She shot all 4 of her kids. 2 of them were found deceased. The other 2 are surviving, but she has completely lost her mind. So let's show a little bit of her paternity court time. Okay. Not sure why that's wrong, and it was a lie, and the judge was like, "All only lying I'm seeing here is you because DNA doesn't lie." So it was a whole thing. So obviously, she's gone back out there and created 3 more children. I don't know if the same guy. I wanna believe at least 2 of them are different fathers with the last names. So let's get to it here. So Oninda Romulus is a 31-year-old Haitian-born woman working as a tax agent, appeared on Lauren Lake's Paternity Court in 2013. So this was season 1, episode 67, Romulus versus Seymour Covington. At the time, she was a teenager from Atlanta, Georgia, seeking DNA tests to determine the father of her 18-month-old son, born around 2012, now identified as the 13-year-old Ocario Covington, who was killed in their recent incident. Romulus admitted to being sexually involved with the 2 men around the time of conception. Her fiancé of 4 years, Dwayne Seymour, which means I just did the math on that. That means she was like 15 when he started messing with her. That's a problem right there. Um, and another man, Jeremy Covington. She claimed she cheated on Seymour out of spite after accusing him of infidelity first. Neither man was confirmed as a biological father through testing. The episode highlighted her desperation for answers and financial support for the child, a common theme for participants on the show who use it for free DNA results. Yeah, it's a hot mess. And Romulus has a history of legal issues, including 2 DUI convictions in Georgia, 2022 for driving under the influence of drugs, and 2024 guilty plea involving a small amount of marijuana. She previously lived in Georgia before moving to Porter, Texas, and about a few months prior to the incident, roughly 60 miles north of Houston. Neighbors described her children as happy and well behaved with no visible signs of distress. So these kids were being taken care of. So what the hell happened? Texas Child Protective Services had one prior confidential contact with her family, details of which will be included in a forthcoming public child fatality report. So on Saturday, October 4th, around 5 a.m., Romulus drove to the Oasis gas station on State Highway 288 in Angleton, Brazoria County, Texas, about 40 miles south of Houston. Surveillance footage showed her purchasing $56 worth of gas on the phone, and then she called 911, later telling investigators she was calling the devil. Sounds a little crazy. Deputies arrived to find her outside the vehicle, appearing alert but paranoid and incoherent, pacing around looking suspiciously. So, and here she's quoted saying, "Instead of them doing it to me, I'm gonna do it to them," clarifying, "Kill them all, they're dead to me, and with the devil. And you can't take me without me taking you." Expressed no remorse. Um, 12-hour search of her home uncovered evidence suggesting possible identity fraud or financial crime. So she's involved in a lot of stuff here. 33 Social Security cards, 48 identification cards, 16 credit cards, some with her photo or address but under different names, 2 unwrapped stacks of blank checks, shipping labels, multiple phones, computers, laptops, printers, and other devices potentially used for creating fake IDs. These items were seized under a warrant, and further probes into fraud are ongoing. Her 17-year-old son from the paternity court episode, no, the episode was for then now 13-year-old, was not present and could not be located during the search. CPS is involved in locating and protecting him. So, God, she started having kids super young. Let's see. So, Brazoria County Sheriff Bo Stallman called the event an unthinkable, unimaginable tragedy and requested prayers of the survivors. So, here are the children. Romulus has 5 children in total. I only thought she had 4. 4 were in the vehicle. So, we had Covington, Cario Covington, 13-year-old son, front passenger seat, shot in the head, pronounced dead at the scene. And he was the child at the center of the 2013 paternity court case. And then we have Amara Chappell, 3-year-old daughter, shot, pronounced dead at the scene. Kylie Romulus, 8-year-old daughter, shot in the side of the arm, airlifted to Memorial Hermann Hospital in Houston, and is recovering in stable condition and has spoken with investigators. And then we have Travielle Downer, 9-year-old son, shot in the arm, airlifted to Memorial Hermann Hospital, recovering in stable condition, and has spoken with investigators. So, according to this, at least 3 of her children are still alive. So, surviving children are under CPS custody upon hospital release, with the court to decide temporary placement, prioritizing their safety. Romulus's father in Georgia expressed shock to media, stating the family is devastated. So she is now being charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. And she's held without bond initially, but now on a total of $14 million bond, $5 million per murder count, $2 million per assault count. So my thing is, okay, why give her bond? She's committed murder. And if you do give her bond, you give her such a high bond she can never, ever pay. So why give her one at all? But maybe it's the law in Texas. I don't know. So not quite sure when she goes back to court, but that is by far a very devastating case. Now, the video I showed here, you can't hear her talking, but you could just tell she's just young and stupid. You could just tell in that. And now we know that she has 5 kids. 5 kids. And she was up to, looks like, I mean, again, I can extrapolate what they found in the house. Looks like she was up to making fake identities. Now, I don't know if it was to her benefit, like fake IDs for her, or she was selling them to other people. She is in Texas, so I wouldn't be surprised if she was selling them to people that needed stuff that they could use to prove, citizenry, I don't know. But that is all we have for tonight, y'all. So, I'm gonna hop off here, but this is Rebecca with Red True Crime, and, I really do feel for her kids, especially the ones that survived, because they have to live with this memory of their mother killing their siblings, you know? Um, and I would love to know what the hell happened because she, never really, I mean, they said CPS was there one time. Was it recent? Was it a long time ago? Who knows? But these kids did not need to die like this. But it sounds like she was having some type of psychotic episode. I don't know. All right, everybody. So everyone have a good night. Thank you again for tuning in, and, I'm gonna hop off here. So, be weird, be rude, be safe, and please do not forget to subscribe, like, and share. Bye.